A deadly home explosion rocked this Westminster neighborhood.
I've never felt anything like that.
Months later, no one's cleaned it up.
It's disgusting. This is a true biohazard.
Well, tonight, Denver 7 is getting answers from city leaders.
It's up to us, I think, to clean this up and see how we can help this neighborhood heal.
Victims injured in the Lodo shooting speaking out about newly released video.
I'm still in the disbelief phase, how police officers would shoot into a mass crowd like that.
And demanding accountability from Denver police.
You would believe they take a couple more seconds to make sure that they make the right decision.
From the SWAT team to fighting fires.
We go out with search and rescue. We do the floods and fires.
How lessons learned from the Cameron Peak fire are helping these officers respond to natural disasters.
People living in a Westminster neighborhood are frustrated and fed up. One home on their street is an eyesore, and they've been waiting for someone to come clean it up.
It's been 5 months since an explosion on that property that authorities say killed a man inside. And neighbors tell us the home had actually been boarded up for quite a while before the explosion. As
Denver 7's Rob Harris learned, this wait for action has neighbors angry and worried for their health.
It was around 2:30 in the morning on February 22nd that an explosion rocked this Westminster neighborhood.
Every day since between 2 and 2:30 in the morning, we wake up. I think it's part of the PTSD, the shock, because our house shook.
176 days have passed since the explosion. In that time, the snow has melted and the trees have turned green, but not much else has changed.
Just because, look at it.
This is Corinna Naya. She lives just down the street from the site of the explosion.
It's disgusting. And the sun beats down on it, it stinks. This is a true biohazard.
The cause of this explosion was never officially determined, and the property was vacant at the time, according to the city of Westminster. But neighbors say the squatting was a constant problem here. Because it was officially listed as vacant, the cleanup process has been more complicated, and that's why, all these days later, the rubble and debris is still sitting here.
They felt voiceless, they felt unheard, forgotten.
Westminster City Council member Obi Azadi says the cleanup has been stalled due to legal holdups with insurance and property owners and concerns over asbestos in the debris. But after hearing his constituents tell him about their anger and pain, he said enough was enough.
Imagine if you were pregnant and you lived on this block and there's this pile of asbestos next to you. It's up to us, I think, to clean this up and see how we can help this neighborhood heal.
The Westminster City Council committed to cleaning up this site at the end of July, with $400,000 coming out of rollover funds from previous years. And now, as of this week, they have a date set, August 24th, to kick off the project, which should be finished in 2 weeks. For the neighbors here, it can't come soon enough.
How do you make something like this go away in your memories? Especially when you have to stare at it every day. How do you make that go away? So my hope is that in a year's time, we have our peace back.
In Westminster, I'm Rob Harris.
That's what I really want.
Denver 7.
And right now it is unclear who actually owns the vacant property and who is responsible.
Those are bullets, so it only took 1 inch for any of us involved to not be here today.
Today marks 1 month since Denver police injured 6 bystanders in Lodo. The officers were responding to a fight outside the Larimer Beer Hall when they opened fire intending to hit a suspect involved in a fight, which they did. Well, now 3 of those bystanders are speaking out following the release of that police Bodycam footage from that day. Denver 7's A.B. Wada sat down with them and got their reaction.
It's a night that will forever live in the minds of these 3 people. Willis Small IV, Yakala Waldehewit, and Bailey Alexander were all in downtown Denver the exact same July 17th night. We talked to them for the first time since Denver police body camera footage from that evening was released. Small is seen in the halo footage walking on the sidewalk towards the crowd just seconds before Denver police officers fired shots. He was hit in the foot. Small says it was surreal watching back the footage.
It's extremely disappointing considering the amount of lives, especially in my age range, that were right in that crossfire.
Waldy Hewitt says he was leaving Larimer Beer Hall with his fiancée and her brother when he heard gunshots ring out. He was struck in the upper right arm, causing some nerve damage to his thumb. He says he's yet to watch the body cam video, but his brother did and told him what he saw.
I'm still dealing with the healing process of what took place that day, physically and mentally. I'll eventually watch it.
Alexander says she and her boyfriend were about to grab food at the food truck outside the beer hall when she says she heard one gunshot. She says she was hit in the right side of her back and the bullet went into her upper right arm. She says she feels the police officers who fired the shots were in the wrong.
Everything happened so quickly, and in one of the videos you can very clearly see that the suspect had dropped the weapon before shots were fired.
And now these three 20-somethings say they want to see justice served for the 6 bystanders injured that day.
As a civilian, if I was to be in that situation or I shot a bullet in that situation, I would have been immediately, publicly everywhere and held accountable.
That was Amy Waters reporting. Now, the same day as that body camera video release, the Denver's DA's office announced a grand jury investigation into the shooting, and they will decide whether those 3 officers involved should face charges.
Rudy Giuliani tight-lipped about his 6 hours spent before a Georgia grand jury today. Giuliani is the closest advisor to former President Trump to be named a target in the Georgia investigation into the efforts to overturn the 2020 election results. Before today's appearance, Giuliani's attorney had said prosecutors are delusional if they think Giuliani will discuss his conversations with Trump. Now, 2 other lawyers with Colorado ties, Jenna Ellis and John Eastman, are also scheduled to appear before the grand jury next week.
A highly anticipated hearing in Florida tomorrow, where a federal judge will consider whether to unseal the probable cause affidavit underpinning the FBI's authorized search warrant of former President's Mar-a-Lago home. Former President Trump and his Republican allies are calling for the contents of the affidavit to be unsealed. The Justice Department opposes the release, saying it could cause significant and irreparable damage to the ongoing criminal investigation and also jeopardize future cooperation of witnesses. Now, in a separate development tonight, former Vice President Mike Pence announced he would consider testifying before the January 6th committee investigating the deadly Capitol riot if asked to do so.
It would be unprecedented in history for a vice president to be summoned to testify on Capitol Hill. We'd give it due consideration, but my first obligation is to continue to uphold my oath.
Sources tell ABC News committee investigators have been privately engaging with Pence's lawyers for months about securing his potential testimony.
$7.4 million in federal funds were given to the state of Colorado to rebuild parts of Louisville, Superior, and Boulder County after the devastating Marshall Fire. And tonight, we're getting a better idea of where that money will be going. The Department of Local Affairs broke it down this way. Since 89% of the total damage was done to residential homes, most of the money will be going towards home reconstruction, with some earmarked for rentals. Nearly $1 million will go towards wildfire mitigation work. Residents now have 30 days to submit any public comment before the plan is finalized and sent to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Arapahoe County deputies had to act quickly when water from Monday's storm came pouring into Willow's Child Learning Center in Centennial, trapping more than 50 kids and staff inside. So take a look at this video. When deputies arrived, water was approaching 3 feet deep at the front door. So deputies got in through a back gate, got everyone out safely. So South Metro Fire was able to shut off power to the school. Parents met their kids at Bank of the West on Quebec, and nobody was hurt.
Thankfully.
Wow.
After the Cameron Peak fire, the largest wildfire in the state's history, emergency responders sought ways to become more efficient and more effective.
And because of that, there is now a team of officers and deputies in Larimer County who help during natural disasters. Denver 7's CB Cotton explains.
For years, Josiah Thiemann wore SWAT gear, but he also felt called to put on another suit. During natural disasters and the devastating Cameron Peak fire, Thiemann, a Larimer County patrol deputy, alongside other law enforcement officers, led evacuations. They've also wanted to do more.
The hard part was we didn't have the training, so we weren't red card certified, we didn't understand fire behavior.
Now he has that training after the Larimer County Sheriff's Office created its All Hazards Crisis Response Team, also known as Archer. The team has 26 area deputies and police officers who've all had SWAT training and now wildland firefighter training.
I finally felt like I had tools to do my job safely.
Archer team members learned several techniques that help slow a fire spread, like this one, setting a line.
To be as effective as we need it to be, is the fire crowning? Is it jumping from treetop to treetop? Is it crawling along the ground? That stuff's super important when we're in our evacuation modes.
The Archer team also responds to other natural disasters in Larimer County. Their police gear can help them respond faster and provide armed protection when necessary, skills that come handy during a crisis.
We get there first so we can figure out how do we evacuate appropriately and what kind of response is going to be needed from our fire side.
Just last month, the Archer team responded to the Buckhorn Canyon when flash floods killed 2 people.
We do the floods and fires, right? We all are Humvee certified, so we can drive military type Humvees into places where other emergency vehicles can't go.
Having law enforcement skills during a natural disaster has already proven its worth, according to Justin Weitzel of the Larimer County Sheriff's Office. He says at many points during the Cameron Peak fire, it was officers who came to the rescue.
And there were homes in the Poudre Canyon where the Archer team came and helped us.
That was a void that we felt that we could fill.
The members of the All Hazards Crisis Response Team. For years, many of them wore the gear of an officer, but now they also suit up to fight fires. In Larimer County, I'm CB Cotton, Denver 7.
To boldly go where no man's gone before.
CU Boulder's new search for a vast ocean on one of Jupiter's moons.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see it leave the launch pad and actually see something that we've worked on leave the planet and go embark on its mission.
Sunshine boosted temperatures back into the 80s today. I'll let you know when we get back to the 90s.